It's time for our regular NeoSPCC community update, and we're gonna start with the blockchain department, NeoGo this time. A Echidna-compatible version of NeoGo was released shortly after the C# node release 3.8, and it was followed in 2 weeks by the patch.1 release that is currently the latest and greatest that fixed the testnet incompatibility problem. So we are very happy that Echidna hard fork is finally out for both testnet and mainnet, because it brings some important parts of the notary subsystem that we have talked about a lot for, for some previous years actually. So it's all currently implemented in the main protocol. It's no longer an extension except for the P2P part of it. Eventually, I think we're gonna implement the P2P part in C# as well, and the whole system is gonna be available for everyone to use on mainnet. And actually to reduce the NeoFS withdrawal fee that we currently have set to some quite high values because we just can't make it cheaper, because of the overheads that the notary subsystem allows us to drop. But the part that we already have in Echidna allows C# node to process FS chains, both testnet and mainnet. They have a lot of notary transactions because we were using it for quite some time already on both networks. And now C# node can process this whole chain and get to the same state as NeoGo one, which I think is pretty important and actually allowed us to simplify some of the NeoGo internals because these parts are no longer extensions. The only extension part that we have now is P2P, and as I have said, eventually we're going to be moving into proper protocol. What we are also doing now is we are continuing the implementation of NeoFS-based state synchronization for our NeoGo blockchain nodes. And this part goes well and is going to be included in the next release. This release will also contain some important fixes that we have already made recently. One is in its peer connection management, where some misbehaving seed could cause some unexpected problems on NeoGo side. And the other bug is very rare but very annoying at the same time problem that could happen if you are to forcibly interrupt the NeoGo process, like to kill it. Then it could get into some inconsistent state that will only be visible after the restart, and basically node could no longer function unless you are to reset the state or to resync the node completely. So it was a database management problem that we have fixed now. The next interesting thing on our to-do list regarding NeoGo development is dynamic block time. We want to have a balance between low response time and at the same time the block count, the block overhead that we bring to the system. So we want to have blocks that could be like 100 milliseconds or 1 second or 10-second block time, and it's going to be the same chain. We know it's not easy to do this because we know that some native contract logic will break for sure, but still we are starting these experiments, and I think eventually this could be implemented in the generic protocol if community wants this. But we want this to be implemented for NeoFS, of course, where this could lower some overheads that we currently have. And we will also do some refactorings in NeoGo code to make it a more generic platform that could have some different set of native contracts, for example, because we want to leverage that in NeoFS as well. A huge NeoFS update was rolled out in version 0.46.0. The main thing there is N3 account support that is finalized and available on both testnet and mainnet now, so you can use both multi-signature and contract-based accounts with NeoFS. Also, we have removed the P2P sub-storage subsystem because all of the tests showed that it's no longer relevant. The FS tree optimizations that we have implemented previously completely make this subsystem redundant. So we have just removed it, and this allowed us to simplify configuration, the storage node configuration as well. It's much simpler and easier to digest for regular users and administrators now. We have also rolled out some improvements to the metabase because we have removed a lot of data from it and it has significantly reduced in size with the same functionality. We have not lost anything. And we have reduced per object overhead of this metabase, and we will continue improving it because we know it still has some redundant data and we expect it to drop in size by a factor of 2 with some additional optimizations, at least by a factor of 2. So this release was quickly followed by the 0.46.1, and this is currently the latest and greatest. This just fixed some bugs, nothing really fancy. All of the main featured things were released previously. Already in the queue for the next release is a huge performance optimization for concurrent search and read operations. It really has improved, and we are still finding some ways and currently exploring ways to further optimize our read performance. And once we are done with performance optimizations, we're gonna move on to some new shiny features like erasure coding. We have already done some preliminary research and we know how to do this conceptually, but obviously this is gonna require some time, so don't expect it to be rolled out in the next 2 months. Still, we are working on it. If you have seen things like this in the past 2 months, don't worry much, because your data is still safe if you have enough replicas configured for your containers. The problem is that we had several hardware issues in a row affecting different machines in different cloud providers, mostly that were faulty disks, and this disk replacement and in some cases operating system reinstallations, they do take some time, even though we are trying to handle these problems as fast as we can. I hope we are past this wave of failures and we're gonna have a bit more stable mainnet for the future. We have spent quite a lot of time optimizing, fixing and improving our S3 gateway. Now with the release of 0.38.0, we are considering the object mapping scheme from NeoFS to S3 and vice versa to be complete and basically finalized. We expect all of the subsequent releases to be compatible with the current one. We know it works fine for many applications. We have tested it with a number of real applications, and even though the S3 gateway doesn't implement all of the S3 protocol, and in fact it cannot implement all of the S3 protocol because some services that S3 provides natively require additional services. But we will be doing this over time. We're going to be improving the protocol support. Still, for now, it works in many cases, and we are considering it to be stable. We are not going to change the S3 gateway in some nearest future for quite some time. As promised in the previous episode, we have updated our REST gateway to provide new search functionality. 0.12.0 version of it has this new V2 search API that you can use with all of the features NeoFS has. Also, this version uses the same search, the NeoFS search API internally, and it actually allowed us to solve some of the old problems that REST gateway and actually even HTTP gateway way back when had. So the problem was that when users were requesting objects by attributes, and most of the time they were using file path attribute, if they had several objects in their container with the same attribute value, they were getting some random reply from this attribute base set. So they could get they basically kept PNG of any version that they had in their container. Well, they were in fact expecting to get the latest one with respect to the timestamp attribute that the same objects usually have. Now, that's the default behavior that we provide. We couldn't do this with the old search API, now we can. And that's just the way current REST gateway works. So we highly recommend anyone using REST gateway of their own, and we know some people do, to upgrade to this latest and greatest version.